The Dungeons & Dragons Starter Set, Heroes of the Borderlands, might be the greatest on-ramp into the hobby in my lifetime. If you're new to the hobby, or you've played some good board games or computer role-playing games like Skyrim or Elden Ring, and you're thinking of getting into Dungeons & Dragons, this box set might be the way to go. If you played D&D when you were younger, and now it's been some time and you're thinking about getting back into fantasy pen and paper role-playing, this might be the best way to do it. But is it worth the hefty $50 price tag? Well, let me give you the full walkthrough of what's in the box.
What's in the box?
Tell you about my relatively few criticisms, and we'll make up our minds together. Welcome to Mystic Arts, where I make videos on how to be a dungeon master, and if you're new here, hello, my name is Daði, I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for over 10 years. I'll start off by saying this video is not sponsored by D&D. I paid for this copy of the starter set myself at full price. In fact, this set doesn't exist in Europe just yet, so I had to ask a friend to ask her friend to buy it while he was in the States and then bring it to my friend who brought it to me. My opinion is on my own, nobody paid me to talk about this, and I feel like I need to say that at the top because I really like this set. If you're a regular follower of this channel and normally follow us for advanced DM techniques, and you've run a bunch of games, then my recommendation in this video might not apply to you. But you could use this video to decide if you want to give this box to a friend and tempt them into running games, or you could send the video to someone you think would get a kick out of seeing how this game works. So let's start with the absolute basics. You're here, you're new, and you're asking what even is D&D? Dungeons & Dragons is a cooperative game in which players create exciting fantasy stories guided by a dungeon master or DM. Imagination and chance determine the fate of the player's characters. At least that's what it says on the first piece of paper you see when you open the box. It continues on to say, each time you gather to play D&D, you're playing a single game session. These sessions connect to form adventures like the one in this set. This first piece of paper in the box does a great job of introducing you, someone brand new, not just to this box or this game, but to the hobby, the basics of what we're talking about, down to the most basic principles like players play the game guided by a dungeon master. There's a QR code on it labeled as Quick Start Video, which links to a page where a host guides you through what's in the box and gives you a good example of how to play, showing a few encounters with players. If you've never even seen anyone play the game, you should start by watching those videos. It'll make a lot more sense then. But in general, here's how it works. The DM describes the scene. In the case of the starter set, they do this by reading the self-contained adventures within, and they explain that situation to the players. Like, you see a red reptilian humanoid creature. The players say what they want to do. I hit it with my sword. Okay, the DM resolves their actions by using a combination of established rules and dice rolls. Okay, roll to attack. Roll in this case means pick up a die and roll it. Attack is a pre-established rule. Rolling an attack means rolling a 20-sided die and adding your attack modifier. So a 12 on the die plus 5 from melee attack roll, this segment on the character sheet, that's a total of 17. The DM compares that number to the creature's armor class, which we see is 14. As the attack is higher than the armor, the attack hits. That's kind of it. There are all kinds of exceptions and other rules, but the adventures in this box have tutorials built in to teach you how to play. That's D&D, so what is the starter set? Well, this hobby is amazing, but there's two major drawbacks. First, it's not a simple hobby. There are all kinds of rules. It's one of those things that takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master. Second, it's easy to spend a lot of money on this hobby, even though it all exists in your head. I mean, look at my living room. I spent a fortune on this hobby. The proper way to start is by buying the 3 core rulebooks, a DM screen, an adventure, and dice. And before you know it, you've spent $200 on a hobby you're not sure you'll like. And that's assuming you just buy the 1 set of dice and no miniatures. And let me tell you, there are some pricey minis and dice out there that you will undoubtedly fall in love with. Even if money isn't a problem, you've got 4 textbooks to read, totaling around 1,400 pages in 9-point font. So it's daunting. The vast majority of that stuff isn't required reading either. But how do you know where to start when you're looking at a veritable mountain of pages? The goal of a box like this one is twofold. It's cheaper at $50, and it's less reading. In this case, there's a 32-page play guide with all the rules you need to play throughout these stuff and adventures in the box. So starting is by definition easier than it would have been otherwise if you'd bought the player's handbook. But this box set does something clever. It takes a lot of text from those 1400 pages and puts it into different booklets or little cards or all kinds of components so that it doesn't feel like a textbook. It feels more like a board game, which you might be more familiar with. So what's in this board game? A lot of stuff. There's a 4-page quick start guide, the 32-page play guide, 3 adventure booklets, the 16-page wilderness book of wilderness encounters, 20-page keep on the borderland classic D&D town, 32-page caves of chaos main adventure, and instead of making your own character, this box has cards for character customization. 8 backgrounds, 8 species cards, 53 spell cards, 55 equipment cards, 20 magic item cards. There is a what you can do on your turn cheat sheet, which is a brilliant inclusion. I normally print one of those out for my newbies. There is a set of dice with 2 20-sided dice and 4 6-sided dice. Great, they learned the right lessons from the Essentials kit. Tokens to represent the heroes, monsters, hit points, powers, gold pieces, minis, gems, monsters, and terrain. A total of 273 of them. So many tokens. There's 42 monster cards with art on the front and rules for how they work on the back. You show the art to your players and use the back to play the monsters in combat. The stat blocks are a little simpler than normal 5e stat blocks, which normally have averages and dice math a little bit more visible, but they cut that to make it extra simple. Good work, team. And it's easier for you to pick up and read and learn without knowing what all the different bracketed numbers mean. Excellent. Also, as far as I can tell, a majority of the art in these monsters is brand new art. I see almost no art recycling, which is great. If you later buy the full, thick monster manual, for even more monsters, you'll see a bunch of new art for all the creatures you already know. Or if you own this and buy the starter set, vice versa. There is 5 full-size poster maps, 4 half-size poster maps for all the encounter locations where each square is 5 feet, so you never have to look up or find or draw your own maps, just use the ones in the box. There's 5 handouts to enrich the town adventure and even 4 little storage baggies to keep all this stuff in for the players. If you're a more experienced Dungeon Master and thinking about getting this starter set just for the encounters and the tokens, let me tell you about a better option. Ready, Set, Encounter. The sponsor of today's video is exactly what you're looking for. It's 31 minis in a box with 11 modular maps and an endless variety of plug-and-play encounters fully compatible with D&D and Daggerheart. It's perfect if you've run out of time for tonight's session and you need something fast. They've got encounters for all groups of all levels, fully adjustable and tweakable, and the minis look great. And they're kobolds! You bet your ass I'm getting my hands on this box. There's just a few days left of the Kickstarter, so go click the link in the description before it's too late. That's a lot of stuff. So what's not in the box? Well, a load of things. It's a finite space, so they couldn't fit all of Jeremy Crawford in there or anything, but there are 2 emissions from this set that might have been nice to include, and you might miss. 1, there is no DM screen to hide your adventure notes and tokens and stuff. That's this big wood thing I have behind me, but there are cheaper versions of it. And the fact that one is missing, it's fine. Loads of people run without a DM screen anyway, and in the example videos, they're not using one. But if you really need some privacy, you can prop up the box and use it as a sort of DM screen. Personally, I really like the aesthetics of DM screens if nothing else, and the quick reference rules on it are a blessing more often than not. So I would have appreciated the Essentials kit paper screen being included, but the cutoff for the stuff in the box had to be somewhere. So I guess that's where it was. 2, there is no way to make brand new characters from scratch. If you want to do that, you have to buy the player's handbook. But the character sheets and customization in here is plenty for newbies. I think character creation guidance would have felt like bloat. Honestly, whenever I'm introducing new people to the game, that's the part where they tend to scratch their head the most. What's a little sad to see missing is that because these character sheets are a bit more simplified compared to normal D&D characters, there's like no ability scores on the sheet, and some of the rules in the glossary are changed in the play guide, so you don't need all the same stats or ability scores anymore. But that means if you want to take these characters and keep playing as them in later levels, you can't easily level them up from level 3 where they end to level 4 because you get an ability score increase and you don't know your ability scores. So there is a bit of a headache. You'll have to recreate the characters from scratch or reverse engineer them. And if I lost you a little bit in the weeds there, basically, if you finish this set and want to keep playing with the same characters for a few more levels, you'll kind of have to buy the books, learn how to make characters, and properly commit to the hobby. But again, the cutoff had to be somewhere. And at that point, you've probably played this set for a few months and are presumably having lots of fun if you keep playing. Anyways, 2 things they didn't put in there that I've seen in older starter sets, but the bottom line is, I don't think you need them. If you're browsing on Amazon and you saw all kinds of starter sets from D&D, some that look like this, or maybe that, you might have thought, wait, that's a lot cheaper, why don't I buy them? Well, the answer is they don't all have all of the previously mentioned components. They're quite barren in comparison, to be honest. Most of them have 1 adventure, 1 rules guide, some dice, and a post-it note that says, good luck, kiddo. In contrast, Heroes of the Borderlands is packed with goodies. It's full to the brim when you open it. These other box sets aren't, even if they have a 1-inch thick cardboard prop at the bottom to make it look like the box is fuller than it is. If you're still thinking about them instead of this one because of the price tag difference, and you're curious about their content, then I've got a full review of them on the channel. That video ends with me recommending you buy the Essentials kit and download the Lost Mine of Phandelver Adventure for free off of D&D Beyond. I'll put a link to both of those in the description. But if you're price comparing between the 2 sets, this one is way more value for your money. But if it's important you save as much as possible and you're weighing a $50 set against a $20 set, it sounds to me like money's tight. And I get it, but I don't think the solution is buying the old set to save money. Just play for free instead. The rules are free on D&D Beyond. You can make a character on there for free, and you can download Lost Mines of Phandelver and play it for free. Or my own one-shot session adventure, All Hail Gak, as an on-ramp. That's free too. You can roll dice apps on your phone, and you can just use no maps, just your imagination. That is the cheapest solution. Don't compare $50 to $20. I want you to be comparing $50 to no money at all. And if you want to save money, free is free, because that's the cheapest option. And the next cheapest option worth spending a nickel at all on is the box set. It's a steal. So yeah, even at the $50 price tag, I think this is a good deal. And I was watching fellow Dungeon Tuber Sly Flourish talk about this set, and he pointed out that if you adjust for inflation, this isn't the most expensive set for D&D. The Holmes Basic set had a similar price comparatively. And that set is iconic for creating new players, as I reckon this set will be in due time. Plus, this set is packed and it's heavy. It's full of stuff. Everyone likes stuff. So you, person who is brand new to the hobby and might see that you have to read a 32 play guide, you could think, Jesus H. Christ, that's a lot of words.
Too bad I'm not reading them.
I spent a lot of time lurking on D&D internet forums, and I've lost count of how many times someone asks, why does this dumb thing keep happening at my gaming table? And I open up the thread to find that this person posting isn't just misunderstanding some weird edge case, but they actually don't know how the game works at all. Read the rules. It's not that hard. Put on your favorite album and you'll be done reading by the time the album finishes. In fact, half of this little booklet is the rules glossary, which is just a list of rules. So, get into the habit of encountering a word somewhere and seeing if the glossary explains it. The best way to learn is to start, and then you continually look stuff up in the play guide in the first few sessions. One day, you'll yearn to get out of that habit and make rulings on the fly, but not when you're learning. Go seek out the knowledge. Reject ignorance. And besides, with the rules glossary taking up half of this, and the first 8 pages explaining how to use the character sheet cards and other cards, you're only looking at what is actually 11 pages of rules reading. 11 pages. Go read them. That brings us neatly to the 3 adventure booklets: Wilderness, Caves of Chaos, and Keep on the Borderlands. 1 for each pillar of the game: exploration, combat, and social encounters. But actually, reading through them, that's just some snazzy marketing language. The combat booklet has plenty of roleplay options, and dungeon crawling is exploration. So I don't know what that's about. And the wilderness is just a string of social and combat encounters. Anyway, the quick start guide suggests you pick a module to start with and just play it. It suggests starting with wilderness if it's your first time, and that's not a bad idea. For all of the adventures, the formatting is exquisite. Each adventure fits neatly on either a page or a spread, so there's no needless flipping back and forth. The only exception to that rule is that the first adventure in each of the modules, because they have a built-in tutorial. Look at this. How great is that? It's like an example of play section in the play guide or the player's handbook, but inside the adventure teaches you how to run it without changing the formatting, so you can just apply the same logic to future adventures. I think it's fantastic. The Quick Start Guide also suggests that you rotate DMs with your group, saying, playing a character and being the Dungeon Master aren't permanent roles. This set makes trading places easy. Whenever you begin play, or whenever the player characters decide to leave one of the adventure's 3 settings, the Caves of Chaos, the Keep on the Borderlands, or the Wilderness, determine who will be the DM for the upcoming section. Hell yeah, if you and your friends buy this set, you just decide Ivar runs the Wilderness, Magnus runs the Caves of Chaos, and AB runs the Keep on the Borderlands, and I get to play. We rotate, and everybody gets to play. That's brilliant! And now that I've heaped loads of praise on this, let me tell you my biggest criticism. There is no adventure story, no grand evil plan from the bad guys. Nothing like that. And you don't exactly need those things when running an open world game like this. I'm running an open world sandbox game right now, and it's a blast. But we are all really experienced players, and I know we will have told the story by the end. But this set is for newbies, and I really wish there was something. It doesn't need to be big, but there are no plot hooks. Every module starts with a DM asking the players the question of, where do you want to go? With absolutely no reason or hook or anything to go anywhere. There's nothing to investigate. Compared to the all-time classic Lost Mine of Phandelver, you start with a carriage, headed to a town with dreams of finding a rich mine, and then you're attacked by goblins, and you are pulled into the adventure. The suggested beginner adventure at the start of the Wilderness starts like this. Your adventuring party enters the Wilderness. Mysteries await you in this untamed land. Where do you want to go? What? I want to go to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. It does specify that you're supposed to lay out the Wilderness map and make the players pick a spot on the map, but there is no indication of why they'd want to go to the Fens or Tamarack Stand. Can we get some informed choices in here? Something that tells the players why they'd want to go to one place over another? Same with the Caves of Chaos. It tells you about a boatload of caves and then asks the players to pick a cave and go. And some of the caves, by the way, are higher level than the characters. They die in there. There is a note to DM saying, if this is your first time DMing, encourage your players to start in Cave A. How do I encourage them? Do I go, pretty please go into this cave, it's the one I read? Wouldn't it be ideal if the adventure encouraged the players for me? It's not that hard. As you see many cave openings, you notice someone's looking at you. A small reptilian humanoid standing about 400 feet away, carrying a big golden crown, stares at you until it realizes you've seen it. And then it goes, ah! And runs into the nearest cave opening. Your players will chase that kobold and they'll land on the Cave A map, which you then run from there. Same with the ending. It doesn't need to be much, just a little sort of last adventure where we bring some otherwise dangling plot hooks to an end. That's all. I would have really appreciated that. I plan to do a follow-up video on how to run this adventure so that it has just a little bit of a structure to it, and maybe make up a new ending for it. You know, just create an on-ramp and a finale so the players get some catharsis at the end of playing it. If you're new, however, and you're planning to run this soon, here's my gist of a suggestion if you want to start before that video comes out. Start with the Wilderness, like suggested, and tell the players they are headed to the Keep on the Borderlands, and then run the first region in the Wilderness as a whole, and then, when you're done, you do the Keep as written. When in the Keep, find an excuse to have someone mention the Caves of Chaos as having loads of monsters and loads of gold and magic items and other things like that to get players excited about going to the caves. And then you add that kobold to pull the players into Cave A. It's a fairly linear structure, but it all works out in 1 or 2 sessions, and after that, you start asking where do you want to go, and you open up the map more and more to the players. Other than the lack of a proper story to the adventure, I think this is a brilliant set. Is it the absolute best and easiest way to start playing? No. I think the best way to start playing is by getting into a pre-established D&D group when you're 15. But that's a hell of a Venn diagram. If you don't know a pre-established gaming group, which is true for most humans, then you've already failed on one criteria. And if you're not 15, which is also true for most humans, then you fail on the other criteria. So the next best time and place to start is right now. And this is a great place to start. This starter set has chits and maps and all kinds of shinies to appeal to board game geeks. The adventure is very manageable, and the lack of a major story means it's very tough to mess anything up. You can get your head around everything in a safe space with the bowling bumpers up, and if you want, literally run the adventure right out of the module. Read it as you go. That same friend that got me this set has played D&D once in a campaign casually a few years ago. She's never run or never read any of the books or an adventure or anything. I handed her this box set to see if she could figure it out. It was midnight and she was quite ill, and yeah, in about 30 minutes, she'd wrapped her head around Cave A entirely, just well enough to run it for us at that moment if she wanted to. though she said she'd like another 30 minutes to take a look at the play guide. So if WotC's goal was to create something that works as a present someone can open on Christmas morning and play that evening, they succeeded. All credit to Justin Armand, Kate Irwin, and their team. They have done an incredible thing, because this is a feat. This box set looks and feels like it cost more to make than they earned per copy sold. It's clearly a lot of effort put into a physical product, not the VTT or D&D Beyond or branding or anything like that. I don't mean to disparage the online versions of this. They're great on there too, but for different reasons. Roll20 did send me an early review copy of this a few weeks ago, and it looked amazing on there. Easy to read, and having everything hyperlinked and set up, it was great. Plus, it's only like $15 on there. What I'm saying is the design team clearly took their time they didn't have during the core rulebook releases. They evidently playtested the crap out of this, adding things like menus and shopping lists, all kinds of quality of life improvements, and in the end, they made an incredible product. I can't help but root for the designers and artists on this one. They must have won out over the C-suite for once. I know what it's like being in a creative environment where occasionally the specter of a major multinational corporation can change everything you're doing. And once in a while, you get them to do something they didn't have to, and you feel like you're getting away with it. Like convince them to make a ludicrously packed box set full of new art for stuff we already have art of, maps we needed to run everything, like creating what I suspect is a loss leader for WotC to entice new players into the hobby. It's a great product, and if you, new hobbyist, aren't convinced by now, then go search for the free rules, because I gotta tell you, I don't regret a nickel. I'll probably give a few to younger cousins as Christmas presents this year. And that's where we'll pick it up next time. Thanks so much for watching this video. This channel is run by me and my girlfriend.
Good, look at what's on my phone.
Oh wow, that's stuff. If you want to support us directly, consider joining our Patreon, where we've got bonus videos and third-party rules. And if you're feeling especially generous, you might like the video, comment, share, or subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we release new videos. Until next time, keep studying the mystic arts.